Where to begin this week? Five's review is almost done for those that are watching this before I've actually released those videos. By the time I release this vlog on Thursday, the 29th, I should actually have all of them completely done and ready for release. So, yay! On to what I've actually... this week's episodes. I should also note that there is no Ninninger or Ghost next week, as Toei is having a special event that's preempting the show's airings. So it's going to skip until first weekend in November, since this is technically that. So there won't be a vlog on that next week. But I've been meaning to watch Garo Goldstorm the movie and the Deca Ranger 10 Years After specials. I'm kind of behind on getting to those, and since I'll have that done, and I think I'll find the time to actually kind of talk about them. Hopefully. We'll see. Ninninger. A few episodes ago, Kinji was both attempted to be turned into a yokai by Kyuemon and clawed by the wolf greater foreign yokai. Now, of course, werewolf mythology always has them as souring other werewolves from bites and claw marks, anything that draws blood and can like infect someone. So this was an obvious thing to send off from that. I'm glad that they're kind of addressing it pretty early on instead of, letting it fester in the background and seem like it's forgotten. It's been enough episodes to really justify it coming off the radar, but now it's time to resolve it. And Kinji is my favorite character in the show, as much like last year with Akira, he actually seems to have a character arc to him, both with uniting with the team, since he had the more antagonist thing in the show, and, he's actually having developments. The others, it's kind of like they develop their skills, but not so much as people. And that was a problem. Not as much last year. Last year there was stuff when the spotlight wasn't being shown constantly on Raito, but it's been very little progress here aside from new skill, now more powerful. So Kinji's realizing that he's turning into yokai and approaches Kyuemon, who's not dead. His mask just has a scar down there, which kind of I'm surprised that's as little damage as they gave him, but it allows them to save pretty much all of his costume, aside from the scarred mark on it, which is, I guess, an easy part to replace the mask for that. Anyways, yeah, Kyuemon explains that Kenji's transforming, and there is a way to stop that from happening. It's this demon sword Uramasa. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but when that came up in the show, I was instantly connecting that to Shinkenger and Power Ranger Samurai, as that sword that, at least in Shinkenger, was a representation of Juzo's dead family, and Juzo, in his bloodlust, assuming that it was, his the blade crying for blood when it was crying for him to stop fighting, end his however long rampage. Whereas in Samurai, there was no story to the sword or any kind of real depth to the character that was really addressed with him, and I'm just getting into Samurai stuff again. Ugh. Anyways, so Kinji agrees to ally with Kyuemon in finding the sword, and that's pretty much most of the episode. Kyuemon is on the outs with Kiboni's group. The general I can't remember the name for. Why can I remember the guy's name? My computer's busy rendering stuff, so I can't actually look it up, sorry. He wants answers from Kyuemon for his actions, so sends out a greater yokai and troops to gather him. And so to get the sword, Kinji has to defend Kyuemon. This, of course, is all a blatant trap by Kyuemon to get the sword into Kinji's hands, so while it's supposed to absorb yokai power to power itself, it actually ends up turning Kinji into a yokai. So either one, it's not the right sword, or two, it draws the yokai power out to feed itself by actually turning the victim into a yokai, or drawing out any yokai power, making it fully manifest, and then draining it dry. So it's not exactly curing Kinji of his yokai transformation, it's actually accelerating it and going to kill him, which I thought was kind of really clever in the subversion, because this is kind of how Kyuemon works. There's kind of a, he'll do this thing, but also do this thing that furthers his plans. And in this case, the catch that Kinji was, he admittedly did try to ask what Kyuemon was getting out of it, but as Kyuemon needed protection from Kibono's forces, as due to his retainership, he can't actually attack them, otherwise, he'd lose any possible standing of getting back in with them he could get. It's actually pretty clever. I kind of credit them to that. It's blatantly obvious, but, it's not, you didn't immediately see the direction they were you didn't immediately see the form the backstab would take. Yes. Most of the episode is actually another kind of stupid interim plot where once they get going with Kinji trying to find this sword, it segues back to the rest of the Ninninger who are following the greater yokai that's after Kinji and Kyuemon into a building which I assume to be a arts history museum, some kind of place that would keep antique swords and the like. Because once they're inside the building, retainer dude, whose name I can't remember, again, my computer's running, so I can't actually look it up right now, sets up a field of doubt where if you are a person that is feeling doubt, it creates illusionary paths that divert you from achieving your goal, essentially tricking you out of having a solution, having no way out, you are consumed with doubt, and you destroy yourself. Why do they keep inserting these? I get that they realize at this point that their yokai are kind of worthless when going against the Ninninger, but it's so they need these kind of tactics to overcome them, but they're not exactly executing them cleverly. Their effects are quite blatant and obvious once you encounter them and you figure out what's causing it. And so what the kind of thing that and admittedly it is playing off something that they are feeling at the moment, because it's kind of a Nagi episode leading into the proper Kinji one, where seeing Kyuemon and Kinji together creates a seed of doubt in himself, and unfortunately this is a missed opportunity in that Nagi eventually comes across Kinji and Kyuemon, and Kinji asks Nagi to trust him in what he's doing, as he can't actually tell them that he's turning into a yokai. It's actually Kinji that doesn't trust them enough with that knowledge. So it's like, since Kinji asked Nagi to trust him, it's not really a blind faith thing, but it should have been more along the lines of Kinji's done all this for us, sacrificed so much for us, been our friend, been our comrade for this time, why should we doubt him now, kind of thing, instead of I need you to trust me, you already have my trust. There needed to be something that more put their trust in danger than seeing him with Kyuemon, and they already know he's not with Kyuemon. He's had that opportunity several times now, and he's rejected Kyoimon for them several times. So it's like, you're repeating this plot point. Why does Ninninger keep repeating its plot points without real... Oh, okay, it's different circumstances, but that is one of the Ninninger's problems. It's repeating these things without really progressing them, I should say. Well, they are progressing it here. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. They're reenacting the same plot points for these episodes in and of themselves. No, that's not it either. Yeah, I kind of stalled on my progress on this one. Because I really am trying to describe what keeps happening with Ninninger and the stories. It's like with Drive. They had the same stuff with Chase every same episode for X amount of episodes without really doing progress with it. Except in this case, this is a facet of the episode. They've used this facet of the episode before. They've done the resolution to it the same way before. Now, the key to repetitive plots is you can't do them very often. You can't have that be the only thing you do with the character, and you need to kind of space it out. Except, the last time they had one of these episodes was the exact last Kinji-focused episode, and with the same relationship with Kyoimon. Kyoimon can give him what he needs in this instance, but he's going to eventually decide with the Ninninger. The twist on it, however, is that Kyoimon wins in this case, and actually gets him to turn on the Ninninger, but not of his own free will and volition, due to him being forcibly changed into a yokai. But yeah, it's a missed opportunity, as with Nagi having this doubt, and it being instantly reconciled by Kinji, there's no self-realization that Kinji's not going to betray them, so whatever he's doing, we don't have to worry. He has to have that told to him to get the realization. It's not really a personal lesson or personal character progress like that. It's trusting someone that's already a friend, instead of, can I really trust this friend? Of course I can. He's my friend. There is a difference between the two. One is prompted, the other is self-actualization, realization. Yeah, it's like, one of the big issues with Megaforce is they were given the weapon, all their upgrades, without really earning them. It's comparable. You're getting this realization by it being told to you, by it being given to you, by not really earning the character development from it, and yet the show is treating it as if this is this big character developmental moment for Nagi. And something that allows him to use the Chozetsu brace to become the Chozetsu Ninja, and that's all what he needed to get the next level of mentality, except he didn't earn it. He didn't earn it. And that is, in and of itself, irritating. So yeah, Monster destroyed, and Kinji turned into yokai. Cliffhanger. Ghost, on the other hand, was a lot more positive, as it's continuing the progression of the show. While Akari and Onari are still conflicted on their modus operandi, there is a better camaraderie flowing between them, that it's no longer personal extremes, it's difference on how to execute things. And I think this episode helps show that though they're dichotomous, they're progressing, as well. Onari's whole on the spirit thing and has all these connections to give them this investigation thing. Akari is the critical thinker. She finds the connections that help bridge gaps in this, as the Ganma in this, which I think is the Cuckoo Ganma, it's themed after this bird thing, and creates clones of itself, is using a company head, whose name I forget, I apologize, but it is the Sengoku Company! Gaim reference! Two of them, in fact, as during one of the battles, Ghost combines his Gangan Saber into its Naginata configuration, which is one of the key weapons of Gaim Orange Arms. So, Yeah. It's using the head of this corporation to manifest the Nobunaga soul, because the guy is the descendant of a retainer of the Nobunaga clan. Now, I am a big fan of the Onimusha games, where Nobunaga is the primary villain, and what I was wondering when they were doing this was, how are they going to make Nobunaga a heroic spirit when he is so commonly demonized in their works of fiction and, historical dramas? How are they going to do that? And the answer is by actually addressing that. Because Nagama tries to get this guy to focus on the more ruthless aspects of Nobunaga's career, his conquest, his seeking to unite the entirety of Japan in his Pokemon Conquest. That was another one that did this. Under one domain, his own personal rule. But what Takeru ends up focusing on to break him out of the spell is that the letter that becomes the manifesting point is one given to his ancestor, of telling of the great work the man gave in his service, and the man's ancestor was of low social class, but it was a reflection of how the man, Nobunaga that is, valued and was compassionate to all of his subordinates, how he actually cared about them and was a overall benevolent man despite his ruthless side. In part, I think, because of how he was kind of not quite ostracized in his youth, but he had the nickname of Nobunaga the Fool. So his ambition was in part to outgrow that, but also compassionate because he knew that kind of growth. I know very little of Japanese history. I could be totally wrong from this, but I'm trying to create a rationale between what I know and what the series utilizes about the man from a historical perspective. Yeah, there's not much Nobunaga in Wikipedia, and I own no Japanese history books, nor have any good links to them. I apologize. No one is born absolutely evil, so it's kind of an interesting take on it, all things considered. We learn a few new things about the Gamma from this, that they can possess normal humans, and they can't possess the ones that are actually connected, have the resonance with the ghost souls, because it requires a type of sincerity to properly resonate to manifest them before the Ganma can devour them. Or, take their power as their own. Because, the Ganma wear the same kind of ghost parkas that Ghost and now Spectre, Counter Spectre also premiered in this episode, they're all using the same forms of power, so they're chasing after them. Sorry, I lost my train of thought here. But yeah, this means that it's more become a traditional shoulder devil, shoulder angel thing, with Takeru taking the form of the shoulder angel versus the Gamma's selfish shoulder devil. And if they resonate with the positive side of the ghost, it manifests without issue, representations of life and continuing on in the ghost's name. Whereas if they go through the Gamma's method, it's negative. It's something that, in a way, condemn the person through their vices, and it takes the life of the user. Now, Takeru got great use of his ghost powers in this one: invisibility, intangibility, and his overshadowing that frees them from the negative Gamma possession and make them understand the worth of their life. To be reflective of it. And it's kind of like he's learning, but slowly as his mind is focused on other things. And though there's a progression of time since the last incident, it's not really making it seem like they're having him really train his abilities. He's busy with other things, but we don't know what those things are. Maybe it's like normal standards. He's 18, so he might be finishing the last few months of school or duties at the shrine that he, or whatever they do to make normal money there, or maybe other, something that would make sense for Akari to kind of be dismissive of Onari's checking out rumors method is if they're actually spending the rest of their time actually looking into other rumors and coming out completely empty on such a element. Yeah, that would make a lot more sense, but it's not actually said in the show. Now, what the actual plan is to manifest the Nobunaga soul from the Kukuganma's method is create a flying castle in the sky through obtaining all corporations in a collective shape of the Ganma Eye through the Sengoku Company's resources, and that will not only lift the city to get the delusion of the ruthless conqueror Nobunaga to get it out, but it also allows a Ganma agent to mass manifest Ganma icons into the world so they have more minions than just these other ones. So there's a progression to the Ganma's plan from this. Get more of their number out of there through fear or other means, fuse with the souls of other entities using either their artifacts as an overwhelming tactic or to devour a ghost parka. The ghost parka to get a giant form, which can mass manifest Gamma as well. So it's kind of like they're seeding and growing their number while looking into other means of gathering power for themselves. They're a encroaching evil, which I like. It shows that even though they're not really addressing what the Gamma are, you can see a process to their malevolence. You can see the... I hate it when I can't think of the word I want to use. There's a progression to their plans on top of progression to Takeru's goal of obtaining the 15 heroic icons. However, the show throws a few curveballs in this time, in that to resolve the floating castle after the Gamma is defeated, speaking of which, it's defeated by Ghost using Robin Soul form, using the Gangan Saber in its Archer configuration, powering it up by putting the Gangan Saber in front of the Ghost Driver automatically activates the finishing move for that, but also activating the Omega Drive of the Ghost Icon, which, in this case, the Robin Hood Ghost Icon creates temporary doppelgangers, which... This is actually hilarious in hindsight that I didn't think of that it's obvious, but Robin Hood and his merry men. The clones are the merry men. And it does it this way because the Cuckoo Ganma can create clones of itself that are disposable in the same way as kind of other cloning entities. And it makes for some interesting fights there, especially since it takes Takeru a few tries to figure out that the boss one that's creating all of these waste bodies, it has a cuckoo on the top of its top hat, whereas all the other ones don't. And it's both subtle and obvious in that it makes sense that they'd produce a few copy suits pretty easily with the same design, except minus that hat. And also because it's way up at the top of the hat, and you're usually not looking all the way up at someone when they're right in your face. You're usually blocked too much by what's immediately in front of you. And in the chaos of battle, I can totally see him missing that. So anyways, sorry, I'm gathering my thoughts. The Kukugama is destroyed and this city drops. That was what I was forgetting. When the city is first raised, they reused stock footage from Kamen Rider O's Wonderful, the Great Shogun and the 21 Core Medals. Now, this is a layered illusion because it's Nobunaga Oda, because Nobunaga Oda. Nobunaga was a prominent character in Movie War Core, O's portion. So, and now they're using stock footage from O's of the cities being raised from Great Shogun 21 Core Medals. And the time they got sent to, when the section of the city was raised, was to, I think, the period where Nobunaga would have been alive. I'm forgetting the specifics. I have not watched O's Wonderful in a while, so I apologize if I'm wrong on that. And honestly, for the most part, unless you're looking for it, it doesn't. Okay, a scene of a few people looking at a building. It's obvious where they kind of got stuck with the stock footage, as it shows a city being flipped on its side momentarily, but it's not overtly obvious. But the illusion works because it's syncing with the O's reference. It's syncing with the content of Nobunaga, which is syncing with the O's reference. And, well, there's the reason why they're doing that. Drive did not sell particularly well with all the shift cars and signal bikes and all that. It didn't exactly make it made its projections, but it fell short. It fell short of. Okay, I should rephrase this. It did not do as well as they wanted it to. It did sell enough. I'm thinking the problem was a lot of the shift cars were, okay, let's face it, useless. They weren't even really used in the show or the driver. They were only there to be kind of superfluous hanger-ons and to give technically a few new combinations in Type Try-to-Run which were not actually used in the show. So, since they weren't actually used, there's no toy advertisement, there was no reason for people to be interested in them. The other problem was the driver was a piece of crap. It used disconnected RF technology so that there was a shift brace, the bracelet kind of thing, which used a wireless technology to interface with the actual driver on the belt, and you'd put the you've all seen it, but the RF technology they used required the distance between the brace and the actual driver be a lot shorter than advertised, so you hold your hand too far away, and it didn't actually work, which is problematic. And there's been word of problems with it even in Japan, and a lot of bad working items. It's why when I started getting a few of the drive gear in as gifts from, I don't know how they're sending this stuff. I don't really have my... Okay, it was on my Amazon wishlist. That it was kind of noticeable. So, with those issues... And it didn't sell as well as, like, the mock driver and the signal bike stuff, which did sell. But all this is directing at is Ghost has a lower budget. It is not the first series to do such, but the reason for that is the budget for these shows are reliant on the profits for the preceding one. It's like, they invest from the series that came after. It's where the budget comes from. It's not necessarily spending it before they actually make it. They, like some other companies would do when they have a start project like this. They actually have it in reserve first and then seed it out to the projects. And Toei was not really making money this last year. bunch of their movies were low sellers, toy sales dropped, and I think it's more because of bad utilization of gimmicks. Like, the Reshas were not popular, the Nin Shuriken have not been popular, the shift cards had their moments, but half the provided items were kind of not really used. So it makes sense that Ghost would not have a much smaller budget, but it's not really showing that much, and the stock footage wasn't really that harmful for it. Honestly, the worst thing about Drive was how it kind of got its story cut short when to advertise Ghost twice. The first one kind of justifiable. The second one with the epilogue, I liked the epilogue, but it was more about advertising Ghost in the next series and wanting to make it a big hit with the lead-in. But what more than justifies it is this is the return of the Newton Eyecon. And this sets the show right after the team-up with Shinosuke, as now Takeru has the Newton Eyecon. It's given back to him by Yurusen after being kept in reserve. Now, since it's been about it's not even been a month since Ghost went Ghost. And the Newton Eyecon was held for about a month in Drive time since its first appearance. Now, when they first got the Newton Eyecon, I don't think they actually had an encounter with Ghost. They had an encounter with Gamma, and that was chased off by something. But it wasn't exactly Takeru that did it, and then they had the instance with Takeru, so that could have been, the ending point for Drive could have been any time in the last 11 days for Takeru time before he got the Newton Eyecon appeared. This is important, though, as Ghost has his early bird cameo in Surprise Future, and he uses the Newton Eyecon in Surprise Future. So we're kind of building a related timeline to that, in that the last 7 episodes of Drive have to happen within this 11-minute span on top of Surprise Future, for it to properly syncing up with Ghost's timeline, as they did bridge the continuities of the two shows with this single callback moment. It's kind of problematic having it that compressed in there. I think it might have been better had it been 16 to 21 days. And I know it's a noticeable time skip, but it would explain Takeru's... it would less justify Takeru being as nonchalant as he starts the episode off on after getting his third icon of the 15 he needs. So yeah, Newton, gravity control powers. He literally lowers the section of the city bit by bit until he's about to be crushed under it. Then he remembers he's a ghost, lets it drop the last foot, which probably upsets some cars, and phases through it. It's actually kind of funny. More because, he keeps forgetting he's dead, and does these things selflessly that would otherwise kill another person. And otherwise, yeah, good stuff here. But as the Nobunaga Ghost is manifesting, Spectre, the secondary writer for this show, comes in and steals it. Now, we don't know how sentient the Ghost Parkas are, as, it's like, he comes in and says, "Fight with me. I will fight with me and lead you to victory," which Nobunaga is more interested in than camaraderie. They're appealing to two sides of his personality, I think, with these actions, but I think it's because Takeru was so easily knocked down by Spectre. Nobunaga recognized the strength and respected that strength and went to him. And now we have Spectre on the case for next episode. We've got a few details about Spectre at this point. Don't want to go into them right now, as 2 weeks. So, yeah, otherwise, good episode. It's still fast-paced, but it's still better than episode 2 was, which, hit. Whereas this one gave the time to all of these developments. I'm thinking, though, that they're not going to be able to keep up this pace with the standalone episodes. I think they're going to get to a point where they have the show situated. They don't need to do these rapid-fire episodes anymore. They can begin to pace things out a bit into the normal 2-arc story. Because right now, I'm reminded of Gaim a lot in its structure, where it's single episode, standalone, not exactly standalone, but they're single episodes that build on each other to a greater payoff versus the 2-part arc episodes that have some serialization to the full series within them. And honestly, as someone who's watched the Showa series, there's a big give and take. You can provide more time to a given situation in arc episodes, but there's relatedly less seeming progress in the greater conflict. So you get smaller encounters, smaller encounters, shorter encounters for a big enemy. Whereas with the individual ones, you get the longer sustained conflicts payoff. But with the knowledge that Ghost has a smaller budget, the way they're running through monsters is probably going to get problematic later unless they slow things down. And I'm hoping they slow things down, because this overall has been pretty good. If they gave more time to character and playing off each other instead of going straight to the situation of the day and playing off just the situation of the day, this could really be a great series. I'm liking it so far, but I think I'm going to have something. I think it's going to fall flat if it doesn't learn to pace itself better. Yeah. I think that's all I have. So, I will see you all when I see you.